National Integrity Hall of Fame, former Secretary General of Argon, a fellow of Chartered Institute of Forensics and Fraud Investigation of Nigeria, Interpol Systems Consultant and Security Expert, Sir Chikwe Udensi. Good morning, sir. Welcome to Open Parliament.
Good morning, Mr. C. Thanks for having me.
Well, quite a number of issues to dissect this morning. Wouldn't be fair, would it, not to have you have your say with regards to the verdict by the Supreme Court of Nigeria bringing an end to the litigation and pretty much everything that has to do with the February 25th presidential election. And of course, that affirming President Bola Ahmed Tinubu as the authentic winner of the said election. Would have you dissect some of the proposals made by Atiku Abubakar, the PDP presidential candidate. But what would you say are the takeaways as far as you're concerned from the verdict of the Supreme Court?
Yeah, Mr. C, thank you very much. You can see that the Nigerians have heaved a sigh of temporary relief because there seems to be too much tension awaiting the Supreme Court judgment. Everywhere was tensed up. We didn't know what was going to happen. But finally, the Supreme Court have given their verdict. First of all, we looked at the areas, the silent areas that we were interested in. The area of the Chicago State University, the issue of forgery, the issue of also the Supreme Court not being the court of first
instance
of evidence, not the court of first instance, not the court of evidence. It is a court of records. These were the things that were looked at, and also the problem associated with provision of evidence and timing of those evidence. Finally, we are happy that the issues are resolved and resolved very effectively. But there are things that we came out with, especially if you consider the recommendations of no other person than even the candidate that lost the Supreme Court, our man Atiku Abubakar. His recommendations were very, very, very interesting, Mr. C. These are the things that certainly will help us in ensuring that we have a better electioneering process in the country. He talked about the electronic voting. Mr. C, everybody thought that this was going to be the Daniel that has come to judgment. Everybody was interested in it. But unfortunately, things changed. We thought that the electronic process was going to nail finally the problems that we have always had associated with serious vote rigging. But that did not happen. And also, he talked about before we swear in anybody who is purported or supposed to have won an election, let the legal process be completed, Mr. C. What it simply means is that you don't give anybody a ball to hold and then you're asking everybody else to struggle from the ball. No. Let the process of litigation, let the legal process, let the processes be completed. After that has been completed, then you swear in whosoever that has won. You can't ask people to hold the ball and then let us struggle for the ball. This is a very germane issue, Mr. C. Because whosoever that is serving the office while litigation is going on is exposed to all the paraphernalia of office, all the resources, all the incidentals and the next values of office. You cannot say that he doesn't have advantage over the other. That's a very germane demand and request, Mr. C. Also very important, Mr. C, is the issue of the percentage win of a candidate for him to be the winner of our election. It is very wrong to say that somebody has 27% of the votes and he's the president of the country. Around the world, look at the general practice. You must have to have a majority vote cast for you. What it therefore means is that for the number of votes cast in the election, you must have to have at least 50 plus 1. 50 plus 1, minimum 51%. If you don't have 51%, the greater majority of the people have not voted for you. You cannot have 25%, 30%, or maybe the current 32% will have, and you are the president of the country. Another area we touched about, Mr. C, was the area of single 6-year term for every presidential candidate. You remember that it was also canvassed in the Constitutional Conference. It was the late former Vice President, Dr. What is his name?
Is it Alex Ekweme?
Alex Ekweme was the one who canvassed it. It was Alex Ekweme that
indeed even the former president Goodluck Jonathan as well.
Yes, but Jonathan came after Ekweme had canvassed for it. So we are looking at the origin of it. It was Ekweme that put it across and insisted that every region, let us have the 6 geopolitical zones. You, at one point, some of the other, pick a presidential candidate, and it is made exclusively for that region. Mr. C, there were so many pros and cons. So many people oppose it. They say it will cause laziness. It will cause enthronement of incompetence. It will also have the issue of trying to regionalize an office. The issue of it is our turn. Therefore, when it is our turn, everything goes to us. These were the things people considered. And eventually, it was not considered in our constitution. So, Mr. C, we must have to a very great extent, to a very large extent, Mr. C, we must have to change the trajectory right now. If we must have to have genuine and credible elections, where the man whom we voted for is the one who will be in office. If that must happen, we must have to have very drastic changes, effective and drastic changes in the laws as they are right now. Otherwise, the problem will continue.
Surely a lot of Nigerians might want to agree with the former vice president there, Atiku Abubakar, on some of the recommendations he made that you reeled out there. The interesting one that I'm sure might want to titillate any average follower of our electioneering process is the fact where he said all litigations arising from a disputed election must be concluded before the inauguration of a winner. As good as that sounds, how possible is it that we can have that happen where a sitting president is seeking re-election? Do we ask the sitting president to stay apart while, if we have litigations in court, they are concluded first? How do you think that can happen? Because it seems to me that this recommendation can only fly where we have a single term of, just like he said, 6 years.
Yes, Mr. C, it can only work and work effectively when there is a single term for the president. So the president knows he has a single term. Then before he is enthroned, before he is sworn in as the president, we must have gone through the processes of law. Because you see, Mr. C, it is becoming a serious aberration in our legal system that one judge or one season of judgment says one thing, another season of judgment says a totally different thing. What I mean, Mr. C, happened, Obasanjo and Buhari of 25% of FCT. The Supreme Court gave a judgment 25% was mandatory. But the Supreme Court of P2B and Tinubu and Atiku and Tinubu is saying it is not necessary. It is the same Supreme Court, the C. So let me give you something very critical, Mr. C. I hope you must have heard about the wars of Babylon and also the Babylonian wars, the wars that went in wars. Mr. C, the Babylonian kings built very great walls, the walls of Babylon. And Babylon was protected with great walls. Babylon was attacked several times. Each of the time Babylon was attacked and conquered, they came to the gate. They simply bribed the gatemen. Mr. C, no matter what kind of walls we are putting by way of laws, the character of those who are implementing this is very important. If we are going to build Babylonian walls, and when we are attacked, they'll come to the gate and simply bribe our gatemen. This is what the problem is, Mr. Smith. We lack character. Those who are implementing our laws lack character. Those who are interpreting our laws, they lack character. If we do not look at this area and look at it critically, it is not going to work. If you are employing your staff, you should look at education, you should look at skills, but more importantly, if it doesn't have character, it's not going to work. Those skills and education will tend to be criminality. That is why when one is graduating from a university or a college of education or a polytechnic, look at the certificate issued. You are found worthy in character and learning. First of all, character and learning. If we don't have people of character, we will continue to have this problem in this country, and it will continue to exacerbate.
Well, it's Open Parliament. It's live on the frequency. Interpol Systems consultant and security expert Chikwe Udensi is a guest. Well, we'll move away from the Supreme Court's verdicts, putting an end to the February 25th presidential election. Let's get down to Abia State. Yes, in terms of the litigation, pretty much still in court, and apparently in just a couple of months we might have that done and dusted as well. But we're talking governance now with the governor of Abia State in a media chat with select journalists in the state a couple of days ago, disclosing that, a certain about 50 decomposing bodies, over 20 headless bodies, and countless human skeletons were discovered all around Lokpanta Cattle Market in the Umunochi local government area of the state. We recall that the government did say for that market to be a day market as against the practice. I'm sure you saw that story. What did you make of that? I mean, security issues are issues you have passion for, and indeed that one could say is your constituency. What would you say about that? Okay, well, can you hear me, sir?
I can hear you. I'm with you.
Well, so we're talking Abia State now with the startling revelation coming on the part of the governor of Abia State, Dr. Alex Oti, where he did reveal that about 50 decomposing bodies, over 20 headless bodies, and countless human skeletons were found all around Lokpanta Cattle Market in the Umunochi local government area of the state. And this is following from the government saying, hey, the Lokpanta Cattle Market is going forward going to be a daily market as against the practice. What did you make of these revelations?
Thank you very much, Mr. C. You will recall that we have always identified the axis of evil, the axis of criminality in all these issues of kidnapping, banditry. We have identified those areas. And Mr. C, we continue to say, though with some level of criticism from those who thought we were targeting anybody, we continue to say that that market was a very dangerous place. And the activities around the market has remained very suspicious and suspect. Because when people are kidnapped, even outside other areas of Abia State, that area has remained the area where payments of ransom were being collected. So we said, if it works like a duck and works like a duck, Mr. C, it must have to be a duck. That was why we kept saying, in security circles, I can show you, Mr. C, over 25 recommendations that we should put our satellites on that market. Let me commend the state for this great effort they have unleashed in making sure that the mystery about the activities in the market has been unfolded. Right now, we have conflicting figures. Some say 90, some say 70, some say 50. But that we have so much bodies, decomposing bodies, and some of them decapitated without head. It's very disturbing, Mr. C. And to know also that there are so many skeletons that cannot be identified by any stretch of imagination except through technology. It is very, very disturbing. As I commend the state government for this great feat, let me say very categorically, Mr. C, that the idea of discussing day markets, night markets, afternoon markets is not the issue, Mr. C. That area is a scene of crime. That is a scene of crime and should be completely cordoned off. What we are talking about now, Mr. C, is crime investigation. Mr. C, we're talking about lives of Nigerians, life of Abians, life of our people. We're talking about our brothers and sisters, our mothers and fathers, our children. Who are those people whose bodies are there? That is the first and foremost thing we should look at. The issue of night market or evening market is secondary. It's not important. It's not even an issue to be discussed right now. It is a sin of crime. Human lives have been wasted in that area. And Mr. C, more importantly, that place is being managed by leaders. We have market leaders there. Are they walking the streets? They should be having a high-powered security setup to find out who are the perpetrators of this crime. Who are those who kill people, innocent people, helpless people, citizens of this country, citizens of our state? Who are there? That is the issue, Mr. C.
Yeah.
So night market is not important. Day market is not important. Mr. C, let me make it very clear that if government does not do this, it has reneged on its function as protecting lives and property. First and foremost, lives. Now, we have a situation where within a secluded environment, over 70 persons were killed in very gruesome manners. The question, the direction, the trajectory of the state is investigation. Even when it is only bones we have there, we can still investigate bones. There's what we call DNA fingerprinting of finding out who they are. We have reports of missing persons. You see, as I talk to you right now, I have at least 8 families whose children, whose sons and daughters were kidnapped and they have not been seen up to now. I can give you information. So these are human beings. So what we should do is, through DNA fingerprinting, identify 2 missing persons records. Who are these people who have been killed? And then find out the circumstances in which they were killed. And more importantly, identify and determine the perpetrators of this crime. Because if there's no deterrent, it will continue.
Yeah.
I'm totally disappointed that the state government was talking about night and day markets. That's not important. The important thing is this is a sin of crime. It's a complete sin of crime and must be investigated properly.
Okay.
And the management of that market should be held accountable, should be held responsible until the proper thing is done.
Well, the revelation by the governor might apparently lend credence to the move to make it a day market, the cattle market at Lokpanta. But as a security expert, what advice would you give to the government with regards to the possibility of a reconvergence, maybe a relocation of the perpetrators of such deadly act? What would be your advice?
Well, I've told you my opinion. My opinion is very clear. When a thing like this happens, that location is a thing of crime. The issue of converting it to something else comes after investigation of the crime has been concluded.
Now this time I'm talking about what we're asking this time is, don't you see a possibility of the perpetrators maybe getting to reconverge in another location? And I'm saying, what would be your advice to the government with regards to that?
Well, in order to curb a crime, we have always insisted on deterrent. And you cannot effectively execute deterrent without investigation. It's when you investigate, find those who are culpable, and ensure you punish them. And punish them effectively within the ambit of the law. That is where deterrent comes in. And that is where you stop it. So many people are talking about stopping crime through creating employment for people. Employment does not stop crime. The only thing around the world that we know that stops crime is deterrent. Effective deterrent. Where there is no deterrent, crime is perpetuated. I will advise this government in very strong terms to please go into the proper sense of investigating to find out what happened in Lokpanta. Identify the bodies through technology. We even have the one we now call reversed DNA fingerprinting identification of bodies. We have several technologies available that even with just a bone, even with the hair, even with the tooth, single tooth of a dead person, we can feel through DNA fingerprinting, technology that's available right now, we find out who is the person, especially when we have already existing missing persons records. There are so many missing persons records. So we can identify those through our technology, especially through the mother or grandmother lineage. We don't talk about father anymore because most people don't know who their fathers are. We talk about the mothers. The mothers were sure she gave birth to this child. So we now use her determined DNA to find solution to the general fingerprinting illustrations that are already available in technology today. We cannot be talking about fresh market, a fresh arrangement, day or night market or afternoon market, when we have determined who killed these gentlemen, who are these bodies. Give the bodies to the families for closure. The families have to properly close the pains and suffering that they have over these years suffered from their loss, the loss of their loved ones. This is what we should be looking at, Mr. C, and not the issue of talking about market. Let us go into the crime scene issue, identify it, identify those who perpetrated it, and the leaders of those markets should not be walking the streets right now. They should be helping law enforcement to find out why this very bad family act was committed within the preview of their business environment, for which they superintended over. We are not going to allow this thing to continue because it will send the wrong signal to the society.
Open Parliament still, the views of Interpol Systems consultant and security experts at Chikwe Udensi. We'll be taking a break now. When we return, the Abia State chapter of the People's Democratic Party has asked the governor of Abia State, Dr. Alex Oti, to set up an independent technical verification panel that will thoroughly investigate his allegation that former governor Keze Pazo spent 10 billion naira on Port Harcourt Road without working on it. Is it a good way to go? Stay with us. We'll be right back. Many thanks for keeping it locked right here. The midweek edition of Open Parliament live on the frequency. Don't forget this is being streamed live on ABN Radio and TV. You can go follow through right there. My name is Mr. C. We still have Interpol Systems Consultant and Security Expert Chikwe Udensi as a guest on the program this morning. And shortly we'll be having you react to whatever it is you have been hearing on the program. Well, the Abia State People's Democratic Party, well, the chapter of the party in the state, has asked the governor, Dr. Alex Oti, to set up an independent technical verification panel that will thoroughly investigate his allegation that former governor Okezie Pazo spent 10 billion naira on Port Harcourt Road without working on it. Well, PDP said such a statement represented a new law in the execution of OT's agenda of running his government via what they call propaganda. Well, it stated this through the PDP Vice Chairman / Acting State Publicity Secretary, Abraham Ama. Well, what's your reaction to this? The governor, first of all, in a statement making comments that Port Harcourt Road was not touched, was not worked on by the immediate past administration, despite the whooping sum allocated to that project, and saying, hey, if you're saying this, go ahead, set up a panel, investigate, let's find out. What's it take?
Thank you very much, Mr. C. Quite a lot of people, especially those I've spoken to, they are becoming a little bit agitated with what is happening in Abia State. When we change from PDP to Labour Party, so many people felt we are going to heave a sigh of relief that there will be some tangible changes in things happening in Abia State. But Mr. C, it appears we are having a different form of it right now. What do I mean by that, Mr. C? We should know that there's a time for electioneering. During time for electioneering, you do your campaigns. When electioneering is over and there are winnings and losses, it is a time for governance. And when a time for governance comes, we should go away from election mode into a governance mode. Mr. C, both the ruling party, the Labour Party, are in a campaign mode still, and even the major opposition party, PDP, they are still in electioneering mode. Mr. C, the problem that we have in Abia State requires immediate and proper attention. It does not require cheap talks. It requires effective control of the runnings of the resources of Abia State for the benefit of the people. If you ask me, we are deviating very seriously from handling the problem on hand. We are deviating from solving the solutions we have on hand. What we are doing is the ruling government towing the old part of the PDP by not being transparent, and the PDP towing the part of still wanting to destroy further what they did not succeed in completely destroying. So that is what we have right now, Mr. C. I do not want to limit myself to 10 million naira or 10 billion naira allegations of Port Harcourt Road. I'm looking at the bigger picture. Abia State is such a situation where we should focus, all hands should be on deck to progress the state, because we have been left behind by other states. For 24 years, the country was held, the state was held moribund, absolutely moribund. Nothing moved ahead. Now we have moved to a Labour Party under the leadership of OT. What one should expect is that, number one, the Labour Party should be very serious with the business of governance other than politicking, while PDP to leave election which they have lost and allow the man who have won to be able to effectively administer the ruins that they have left behind. That is the greater picture they will see. But you see, I have also seen some very recklessness that have been associated with both the previous government and for which this government is not wanting to learn from. We have said this over and over. Mr. C, when you lack transparency, you create problems. You must have to be transparent in whatever you're doing. When you lack orderliness, when you lack procedure, when you're not properly procedural, you lack competence, you lack effectiveness. Electricity is coming from the banking sector, and we have his trajectory in terms of management. We know he's a very competent man. So he should forget and leave the mistakes of PDP and go into the governance of Abia State. The mistakes of PDP is what brought him in, and we don't expect him to repeat those mistakes. Number one, we do not know, either from both government or from opposition, the true position of funding in Abia State. Government have not shown openness in the financial activity, which I will urge the government to do. Because if you do not do that, you create suspicion. Suspicion goes to rumor. Rumor goes to allegations, both false and true allegations, and it goes to a very poor deprived state.
If I could step in there, I mean, we had a pally. I was part of a pally with the governor a couple of days ago where a question as such was put to him, and then he said, hey, come on, the funding has been majorly from our savings from a federal allocation. That at the moment, the state government has not borrowed any money and has not seen the need yet to do so. Does that suffice?
It does not suffice, Mr. C. It tells us nothing. You should be very specific on whether you are resisting on the previous budget or whether you have gone to a supplementary budget. If you have gone to a supplementary budget, which is given within the law, let's get the specifics. If in the supplementary budget you have made available specific amount of money, for example, the Port Harcourt route, which everybody is yearning, people are happy. People are so joyous that they are doing that. Then let it be done transparently. Let it be done openly, Mr. C. How much are we spending on the 6.7 kilometer road, Port Harcourt road? Government should say specifically. And also government should tell us who is constructing that road and the process through which you arrive at the construction of the road. If you choose Julius Berger, for example, which is to me a very good decision, Julius Berger can do that. But through what process did you arrive at Julius Berger doing it? There is a tender process in the country. That's a tender solution process. And if you do not use that process, you are creating suspicion. Government of Abia State, as it is currently constituted under electorate, to strive to be open so that he does not make the mistakes of PDP. PDP made enormous mistake of not telling anybody what was happening. Nobody knew where the contracts come from. Nobody knew how the contracts have been awarded. Nobody knew the procedure for awarding of those contracts. These were the mistakes of PDP. Nobody knew the amount of money that was stated for their contracts and the sources of those money. These were the mistakes of PDP. Do we repeat those mistakes?
All right.
Should we go back to yesterday? Should we go back to Egypt? That is my question. And this is a bigger question, Mr. C. But this government has started very well. They have identified the problems. They have commenced the process of solving the major problems. But they should not repeat the mistakes of PDP.
Okay, we'll be going to the phone lines shortly, but if you will, in maybe 1 minute or thereabout, reaction on what's been happening in the last 48 hours or thereabout in Rivers State. We understand the president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has waded in and to bring lasting peace. Apparently, it's a fight, if you like, between the former governor of that state, Nyesom Wike, the current FCT minister, and his godson, the governor of Rivers State, Governor Sim Fubara. What do you make of what transpired in the past couple of days? The move by the House of Assembly to impeach the governor, just 5 months on, and then we're having this back and forth. Too early, you think?
It is too early, Mr. C, but it has always been there. We know that when the music is playing, Mr. C, if you dance to the tone of the music, but if the music stops and you keep dancing, Mr. C, you are creating a problem. Governors, when they leave office, they should know that they have left office and somebody else has taken over. You can't keep dancing when the music is over. That is what we see happening around. And we have gone to the nitty-gritty of the issues. We were able to talk to people on ground, those who are concerned. In fact, my friend was able to talk to Fubara the very day he was being harassed by law enforcement. We spoke to him. I listened to the discussion and also made a little bit of contribution. Mr. Fubara thinks very clearly, without missing words. He thinks that the state government as currently constituted is still running on the wicket. He says that almost all the commissioners appointed, except one person, was the one he appointed. The rest of the commissioners were appointed by Wike. He thinks that all the appointments made by Wike are allegiance to Wike, and that he has to change the trajectory, which is normal, which is human. So Wike did not see that as being the right thing. All this idea of hiding under...
What if that was the political agreement they had before he got Wike's support? What if?
Well, if they have a political agreement, it is wrong. There should not be any political agreement. You recall that was also one of the problems I had in Abia State. I refused to accept any political agreement. If I had accepted political agreements, Mr. C, I would have been governor of Abia State a long time ago. Political agreements are fraud. They are determined and arranged in such a way that they will share the commonwealth of the people to a few people. So this is exactly the point we have. And Wike told us, in no unequivocal terms, he said very clearly, Mr. C, that once he leaves office, he will not remember the governance in Rivers State. He said so. Godfatherism does not work very well between governors and former governors. Check the records. Once you try to rub it down the throat of a governor, you make him show you that he is the governor. Just look at the records. So Wike would have learned. He ought to have known. And also knowing that those who handed over to him also wanted to rub it down on him. And he never took it. I don't know how he expects the man who is there on seat to take any form of interference into the governance of Rivers State. That's what the problem is, Mr. C. The problem is very simple. I have left office, but I'm still in office. That is the problem. And that should be discouraged.
Okay. 0816-111-5955 or 0701-651-4107. Those are the numbers if you want to react to what you've been hearing this morning. Let's take a first caller this morning. Hello, good morning. Good morning to you.
My name is Tony Chinaden Nabug and I'm calling from Oseman this morning.
Welcome.
Mr. Chikwe Udensi, you recently stated all that I wanted. You touched virtually everywhere I wanted to go. But I want to say something about this human chapter thing. If you put it side by side to a scenario where it were to be the Igbos somewhere, you know, and then.
Hello? Hello?
Can you hear me, Mr. C?
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead.
What I'm saying is that let investigation be carried out in that. Let the leadership of that market be arrested, because something like that cannot be happening, and you say that you don't know about it. Now, coming back to Abia State, the administration of Dr. Alex, they seem to be starting well, but there seem to be this shieldness in secrecy. Everything is shielded in secrecy. Let him come out clear. Let us know. Some time ago, we talked about the security vote. Up till now, nothing has been said about this. Let him come in clear terms. Let people know what is going on in this government. You can't just say that these are like this, and everybody will just carry it and just go away like that.
Thank you.
It's not done in government. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, Mr. C.
Good morning to you.
Good morning, Sir Udensi.
Good morning, sir.
I'm calling from Omar.
Welcome. Happy New Month. Hello?
Hello, can you hear me, sir?
Yes, go ahead. I'm saying Happy New Month.
Just in a few minutes. Let me just comment on the issue Atiku Abubakar raised. I think there must be a way to consolidate on our democracy, and that is the strengthening of our electoral system and process. If we can try as much as we can to strengthen it, every other thing will suit in. Because by the time we hold our leaders accountable, they will always be in office to present the people and set every record straight. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
Thank you. Open Parliament still. Phone lines open. 0816-111-5955. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning to you.
Yeah, my name is Ifani from Makana.
Welcome.
Yeah. I want to advise Wike to stay away from the office of the governor. He has done his job. Let him go and rest. And he's doing another one. God salary is not good. Let him go and rest. He has done his job. That is all I want to say this morning. Thank you.
Wike should go and rest. He has done his job. We have another caller. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. C.
Good morning to you.
Good morning, Sir Chikwe Udensi. Good morning, sir. Who say man know this name? I'm calling from Umaya. Happy New Month.
Same to you.
Please, I want to appreciate you once again for being bold enough to tell us what is supposed to be done in the state, and encourage the government that is getting it right on where they are getting it right, and discouraging them in the areas of transparency. So it's a welcome development. Like you rightly said in this issue of law quanta, the culprits are supposed to be brought to book. Like I will always advise, if peradventure the evidences, the video recordings of those skeletons and whatever need to be go viral, so that the commander-in-chief of the armed forces and the IGP should know what has happened there, and the people that are taking care of that market supposed to be held responsible. Then finally, the issue of what is happening, what PDP called the government of Alex Oti to probe the 10 billion naira alleged that they squandered, is also a welcome development. Like I will always say,
If peradventure this money that they are mentioning belongs to all of other state, so it's not enough to say that these people squandered 200 billion, 300 billion without getting them arrested. If peradventure what you're saying is true, get these people. Let the process of getting the right thing. I mean, these people that have been squandering money, PDP in quotes. And let the what happened under this government be transparent enough so that at least we know what is happening. Both allocation, both how they are spending it, both the manner that they are giving a word of contrast. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. C.
Hello, good morning to you.
I know that it's still there, but I'm coming here. So, this Mama.
Today, good day. How are you, my dear?
Fine, sir. But now I understand that time where these people, even after they say they consent, you know, agree. I remember 70 go sign. You say you not go do like that. 70 agree. Now this is what we can do. Now I understand why you say you not go do like that. Yeah. For the one where they talk for water, my brother, our governors will know that no people are in the rule now. Na Tinubu, a Yoruba man. Let him go ahead and arrest the leaders. Everybody will be leader that time. Let him go arrest them. For the 10 billion naira when they talk, not be only that 10 billion they go look into. The parade fund, let them look into that parade fund. Same committee. The ballot fund, let them look into that ballot fund too. Because nothing will tell us, the other one has 20 billion. If I put for 14 billion, nothing they carry and do. Then they talk only 10 billion. If you lose those money, we go recover a lot of money. Nobody will carry pay workers. This Christmas when they come. God bless.
All right, thank you very much. We'll take that as the last call on the program this morning. Well, what will be your parting word, sir?
Mr. C, Abians, when they voted for Labour Party overwhelmingly, everybody's thinking, everybody's hope, everybody's agitation is that we are going to deviate and move away from the old order of secrecy, the abuse of office, and also misappropriation of funds that was characterized for 24 years of this state. Today, Mr. C, I hope we pray that we don't go back to square one. We heard about some amount of money that has also been appropriated for security vote. Almost 1 billion naira, 900 or something million. The state government has to clear that. We hear about social amount of money for the deputy governor, which is very close to 300 million. It is rumor. Government should come up and say what the true position is. Transparency is the order of the day. Transparency is what clears everything. Today, we hear about 30 billion naira for 6.5 kilometers of road. Is it true? Government should clear it very clearly. Abia should move forward so that we can be in the league as other states are. This is what my prayer is, Mr. C.
Okay.
And I hope Daniel will come to judgment.
A good place to leave it, Chikwe Udensi. Thank you very much once again for coming through on the program this morning.
Thanks for having me, Mr. C. I appreciate it always.
Well, the size of a package on Open Parliament, the midweek edition of the program with a regular guest, Interpol Systems consultant, security expert, Chikwe Udensi. Return same time, same station next week, God willing. But don't forget, we will be back for the Thursday edition of the program. My name is Mr. C. Let's take you to the newsroom for the news at 10.